Okay, is it working now? Seems like it's working. Just let me know if you guys can see the stream. I think you can. Yeah, it's like it's right. The only question is where is the chat? Where did the chat go? Can see it. Thank you. Welcome in Flame Spawned. So we missed a game from Kostya because I had to go eat, but we're back now. I have to prep against this Isaac Spence in a second, but we can quickly put this on the board whilst I do that. So we were the black pieces here against Boris Gelfand, phenomenal player. He's like a championship contender, former world championship contender, so very strong player here. So whilst you guys do that, I will start prepping a bit for Kostya for his next opponent. That something was lagging. Wait, what happened to the stream? Are we still here? Okay, I think it might have stopped for a moment, but we should be back. That was rather strange. Should be okay now. Okay. Isaac Spence, and we have the white pieces. And there's not a lot of games to go off of. Let's go to this online account. If there's something there. I'll just restart the game for new viewers that just came in. So you guys can see how the last game went whilst I prepare. Okay. Wait, the sound is wrong? What is wrong with the sound, Jerome? Still here? Hello, HVV. So yeah, let's quickly show you guys the game. So we got pretty normal continuum with this bishop g4 line, which is a bit of a shortcut as far as I am aware. Like, of course, knight c6 is main line, you have knight bd7, you have knight a6, bishop g4 is to cut some theory, I believe. But it's not bad at all. I have a friend who plays it, and he's a very strong player. So yeah, here I liked Kostya's idea of bishop f6 and bishop g5. Usually in these structures, you want to trade the dark square bishop, just like in the game, the round one game, I think it was. But then Kostya went for the queen f4, takes an f3 idea, which I did not like because you give a material for like a long-term idea that double pawns. If you get control of the dark squares, you might be able to dominate a bit of the game against this bad bishop. But in shorter time controls, I think this is not so great. And in shorter time controls, you should focus on like going for these type of moves if you get an attack on the king, and otherwise just play normal moves like, for example, king g7. I should turn off the engine. King g7, and maybe queen back to e7, b6, knight c5. Just normal moves. Maybe play for like f5 break at some point, but yeah, I think just not doing much is the best thing to do here and shorter time controls. Make Boris Gelfand think of a plan to do. Probably he would try to play some g4, so probably we prepare against that, and we got a decent game. Still prepping here a bit. Give me a second. Okay. Still helping Kostya prep here, so excuse me for a moment longer. Rip Danya, indeed. Greatest commentator of all time. Phenomenal YouTuber. I would say greatest chess YouTuber of all time. I would personally pick him over Levy. Even though Levy has had more influence, like Danya has taught so many people so much about chess. It's unbelievable. Okay, I think we're done with the preparation for the next round. We are playing, I believe at 2200. Let me see if the pairings are already out. Yes, they are. On chess.com, that is. And we're playing against, 2100, sorry. Against Isaac Spence, who has drawn a Grandmaster in round one, then lost to Boris Gelfand, who we lost to last round. And then he beat another Grandmaster, and now he's playing against Kostya. So this 2100 is extremely underrated. Oh, oops, sorry. Let's quickly go through his games. Okay, so he played the Caracal as he always does. Yeah, I quite like this for white. Just traded everything off and they just end up making a draw. Very reasonable. The game against Boris was not on a GTT board, but Boris won with the black pieces. And then the opponent's win against the Grandmaster was also not on the GTT board, but he won with the white pieces against a 2440 GM. So, not a prime GM, but still Grandmaster, very impressive. So yeah, definitely a tough opponent here, very underrated. Let's hope that Kostya can beat him. I feel like the prep is pretty decent, so it should be good. Hello, Daniel Zhang. Welcome in. Let's see. When are the games starting again? Oh, quite a lot of time actually. Quite a lot of time. I thought it was gonna be sooner. We can look at some of the other games from other strong players from last round. Let's see. We had Fabi versus Ivanchuk, big matchup. Najdorf with A4. That's one of the brilliant sidelines. Okay, gets a clamp on this C6 square. What I tend to do in these structures is go for something like this and knight to A4, where your queen guards this pawn. And then you get the knight to B6 and you're dominating. But let's sneak peek with the engine. Yeah, it doesn't quite work here because you have bishop takes B3 indeed. And now after takes, of course, this guy just hangs either way. Actually, probably with the queen. With the pawn, I mean, this is looking a little suspicious. But okay, maybe you can do this. Maybe. I have to take now. And actually, white should be a little bit better here. Actually, here there's this, of course. Yeah, white should be a little bit better here. Like f3, bishop d3, knight to c3 afterwards. So we're chilling. So yeah, I would have maybe gone for some queen d2, knight a4 stuff. Opponent puts the bishop on b6, which is a little less stronger than the knight. Okay. Fabi sacks the exchange, which is very thematic in the knight off. Okay, Ivanchuk grabs the bishop pair, but he does give the doubled pawns, which allows Fabi to play for some d5 ideas. Doesn't get to play it, and then Ivanchuk sacks exchange right back, which is pretty sharp. Okay. And this is quite a good position for Fabi, I would say. He's up pawn. The bishops are not that great since it's quite close here on the king side as well as the queen side. So the knight should be quite happy here. Like, for example, this knight can go there. Maybe, you can reroute this knight into like h4, put pressure on g2 if both the knights get the queen in, the rook active. Like these bishops, it's quite hard to really create a big threat here. For example, you can maybe try to pressure the e6 pawn, but with the knight on f4, that's not going to be a problem. Okay, so gets the queens off, which should benefit white a little bit. Okay, white is quite solid, but yeah, I mean these knights are suffocating, so it's hard to play. Should be drawish. Okay, what happens here? That's interesting. Okay, so he gives up this pawn, which creates two passers for the black pieces, and gives up one of the bishops. In order to get these two pawns very weak and try to grab them. Grabs one. Trades. Interesting. But these pawns are stronger than this lone pawn. So yeah, eventually did turn into a draw. Interesting. Yeah, this guy is not in time because this comes with check. Otherwise, like this, if this was not a check, you would have this fork, and then you just promote. But because that comes with check, you cannot come back, and you have to concede this draw. So I think Fabi could have pushed for more, but yeah, he could have, but he misplayed it. Here, apparently rook f1 is extremely strong. Rook e1. When you go back, there is the nasty knight d3 checkmate. That is quite nice, as you can see here. That is quite nice, and that's why he would have to run away. But now rook e2. I don't know if this really matters. King d1 apparently takes, and knight takes. And yeah, these pawns are gonna fall. This pawn is really hard to go after. Like you would have to do something like this, which is just impossible because he's just gonna play king e7 and you cannot get in. Whilst these pawns are not guardable. So yeah, missed winning chance for Fabiano there. And yeah, from here it was all just quite rawish, yeah. Andy Woodward beats Sindarov. That's a big result. So interesting bishop d3 here instead of the normal knight c3. This is very interesting stuff here from Sindarov. This is some new prep. I have never seen this before. What is happening? This is a weird game. And when the dust settles, I mean, Woodward is just up two clean pawns here in a Rookend game, where he also has all of the activity in the world. So Yeah, this is just that loss for black, of course. I mean, look at this. The rook is just in geo. You cannot go here, cannot go here, cannot go here, cannot go there, cannot go there. This cannot move. That's very sad. And that's how Woodward beats Sindarov. Impressive. This is Sindarov second, I believe. And he lost to Sam Savian. Jobava. No, it's Italian. Never mind. Not Jobava London. It's the mirror Jobava London. Okay, interesting line with d5 here. Okay, this already looks phenomenal for Savian. Like, here already. Um, he's gonna be able to put more pressure on this pawn than Sindarov second can do on this pawn. He has the bishop pair, more activity. Already this is hanging, but this bishop versus this rook, engine doesn't like it because of knight f4, bishop f1, knight takes e4. Okay, so there's of course knight takes e4. If you take, there's this. So it's not per se that you say that this rook is worth less than this bishop, but you're saying that you're just gonna mate the guy. And yeah, here he sacrificed his queen. Well, he also, I think, just blundered his queen. Um, because it's just trapped at this point. Yeah, and he just resigns because there's nothing to do. Impressive game from Sam Sevian as well. Andrew Hong versus Aravind. Rodri Lopez. Interesting stuff here. To draw back and then take. This is not what you usually see. Okay. I do like this c5 move. Oh, d5, big energy. Takes. And now he gets the d5 square. Now he gets the bishop. And at the end of the day, he has bishop versus knight, extra pawn. Although it is isolated, this pawn is kind of fixed on the dark square. The other three pawns are also on dark square, so this should, be enough for white to win. He goes after the pawn, does trade the bishop for the knight, but in exchange he improves his structure, but he does lose the a2 pawn. And after b4, I guess he would just go a4. Apparently rook a3 hitting this pawn is quite good as well. Okay, so he loses the a pawn. This is very drawish. What just happened? He just gave up both of his pawns. And then played g5 to try to stop these pawn breaks. Or pawn pushes, I should say. But now h4 takes, wins another pawn, and yeah, 2-0 connected. There's nothing that black can do. And he just converted. So yeah, quite strange to give up 2 pawns like this and allow h4, h6, g5. That is some weird stuff. Hello, Physic. Welcome in. It is the time scramble for black, yes. So, okay, fair enough. But Andrew Hong is quite a fast player. I wonder where he lost all of his time. Apparently here he took quite a lot of time on bishop takes f3, calculating all of these exchanges. He took quite some time here for all of these exchanges. Oh, and he was 2 minutes late to the game. That explains quite a bit. Okay. Let's see how long until the next game. Oh, still a long time. Um, Okay. What are the next matchups? Samswt is in first place. That's impressive. Everything also on 3 out of 3. Bootwords. Galfantoni on 2.5. So it's wait, Fabi also drew? Oh yeah, of course against Ivanchuk. Okay, so we have Sevian. Um, I don't know this player, and I am gonna butcher the name if I try to say it. Oh, you played Nikes. That's interesting. And Sugar Shah. Sugar Shah. Not sure how to pronounce it either. Aravind also on 3 out of 3. Pономarev also 3 out of 3. Beating Dina, Danny Ranch, and Levi Rosman. That's quite a famous list there. Let's see how Levi is doing. So yeah, 2 out of 3. Next up, he's playing Andrew Hong. Strong opponent there. Oparin. I beat an Oparin once in a 960 qualifier, so always fun to see him play. He's on 2.5 out of 3 as well. Ivanchuk here. Beat Eric Rosen and Drew Fabiano. That's also quite a list. Sindarov against Hyman. One of my friends used to play quite some games with Hyman, I believe. And I believe Kostya also played him quite a lot. Um, he beats Nico Chasing. Okay, also impressive. Wesley, not against people I have heard of. I wonder, neither. Ray Robson, after drawing also drew Caden Trough from the Chess Sharks. So he's not having the best defense. Oh, Bartholomew drew a 2100, lost to an IM, and then drew another untitled player. So he's also having a tough tournament. Julian Song just lost to Robert Hess. And lots of. It's a very strong tournament, yeah. Very tough. Robert Hess, Julian Song, and Levi Rossman. Now Sagar Shah. What about Dina? She lost to both the GMs, unfortunately. Kosha, we know, of course. Danny Ranch playing against Sindarov second. Martin Nixons against Zachary Tannenbaum. And Tushar. Okay, what did Tushar do? Lost to an IM, drew FM, lost to FM, now playing a CM. Robbie is also not having a great tournament. Oh, he only lost to Fabi. That's actually not so bad, but he is playing a non-title player. Okay, untitled player beat Gory. So that's impressive. Um, Pretty decent matchups here. Yeah, Julian Sang is having a rough time. Where is he now? Uh, Here, Julian Sang. Um, well, he's actually gaining rating, plus 1.6, because he only lost to Grandmasters, yeah? So he doesn't lose a lot from losing to them. But now he's playing against his untitled player. Players were losing quite a lot. Probably a wonder. Yeah, a wonder is down 8 rating points. No, overall, not a lot of rating points lost across the board. Oh, the CM lost 11. Probably K40. Then Sagar Shah on +10. That's impressive. Denier Dominguez +2 as well. Yeah, not a lot of rating lost across the board. Knowing Tushar, he's probably only playing Elephant Gambit now. I mean, we can check because he's a streamer, so he got a GTT board. We can quickly check what he did. Okay, pretty standard stuff here. Damn, having to play F takes is rough. And then Tushar blundered the pawn. I mean, yeah, he's just completely dead there. Apparently here, he had to play c3. So that bishop g4 is not possible anymore. But what is the big deal about bishop g4? If you go c3 now, rook a d8. And if you get out of the way, there's still knight takes c5 and queen takes them. Okay. So the big issue is that you are just lacking a lot of space and they're just gonna destroy you with the king in the center because you cannot castle. So if you do bishop to e2 fast, takes, knight takes, rook a d8, long castles. You drop this bomb, and yeah, your king is way too unsafe. Okay, noted. So Tushar round 1, pretty standard opening. Round 2, against the Scandinavian, he went for h3. And I am seeing an interesting graph. This just drops a piece. Takes, takes, and takes. And the FM just wins a piece. FM does not do that. Here, there's a hanging queen. Tushar hung a queen in one move. Opponent does not take it. I mean, surely these are GGT hours, right? Like, rook d6 is a clean fork, because if you take here with check, and you take this. I mean, this is a very weird game. Extremely weird. So yeah, that's Tushar's first two games. No, last two games. Wait, no, first two games, never mind. And in this last game, he played this FIDE Master. How did that go? Okay, he went for Jobava, and it turns into his standard line against King's Indian that he also played in round 1. And here he resigned. I guess he didn't see a way to deal with this. Indian says he is better after this and knight to e4. Let's say king goes back, knight h5. And now he's gonna win a pawn back. And another. I mean, this is hard to see, and yeah, I mean, I understand why you resigned here. Like, seemingly you're just down a full piece. Like, understandable resignation there, but of course too early. Too early. You cannot resign in fast time controls like Rubbed and Blitz. Oh, hello, Oscar. Welcome back. Guten Abend. Um, yeah. How much time until the next round? 4 minutes. Not too long. Okay. So standings, that's fun. Who's like doing really bad? Not anyone I know in particular. Probably Julian Song is doing relatively bad. Gory, Judino. Okay, they have tough opponents. Oh, damn. Ron Hanley is on half out of three against 1900s. That's quite rough. That is quite rough. America's very dangerous though. Like the kids, they're extremely underrated. Do you have anything on life boards? I don't think so. I mean, yeah, this player, for example, this 1991 also beats another IM line. They're just extremely underrated. And Kostya's next opponent, which game is about to start, is also very underrated. So it's gonna be a tough match, even though he's only 2100. He has drawn a 2560 GM, lost to Boris Gelfand, who we just lost to, and then beat a 2450 GM. So yeah, tough opponent. I guess maybe his classical's higher. Let me just, oh, oops, should not do that there. Sorry. Let's look it up. Okay, his classical is like 2100 as well. Interesting. Okay, he's not actually that young. He's from 2004, so he's a year older than me. So he's actually not that young. Okay, the game should start any moment at this point. Yeah, 50 seconds-ish. So let's get ready for that. 2004, so young. Most people rating and Rapid is lower than the classical. Yeah, that's true. That is true. I'm just pull up this as well. It's like, okay. Okay, thank you, Physic. Thank you for that comment. Okay, we should be starting any moment here, so let's keep an eye on the port. Let's turn off the engine. So I will let you guys in on a little secret. We're gonna start with C4, and then we're gonna transpose back into D4. So yeah, if the opponent is watching, this is exactly what we are planning to do to avoid some Ninja Indian. And we got him because, of course, we start with knight f3, um, just like we did in the game against Ray Robson. Okay, we go for this double fianchetto, which is very common against the fianchetto as the opposing side as well. A lot of Dutch masters tend to double fianchetto against fianchetto. So this is very common. Now there's many ways to play this as white. You can play with some c4, you can play with some d3, you can play with d3 and c4, you can play with e3. There are endless possibilities here. Let's see which one Kostya goes for. Opponent is probably just gonna go knight c6 and maybe press some e5 or some bishop g4. Very common. Hello, Big S. Yeah, welcome in the chat. And plus you say like g4, g4 not yet, but maybe at some point, yeah, g4. Okay, so I think Kosha's inviting to go into some reverse Benoni type of thing, which he has had quite some success with in the past. So happy to see that. Good to see you as well, King S. Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of up to the opponent here. Ray Robson likes to go for this, and knight c6, and play the open position. Um, but usually players do tend to push and go into the reverse Benoni. Why reverse Benoni like this with the double fianchetto is especially good against fianchetto is because, well, in the Benoni, like d4, knight f6, c4, e6, knight c3, no, sorry, g3. Here c5 is like a lot better than, for example, against knight c3, c5, or knight f3 to c5. So yeah, generally the fianchetto setups are very like not so dangerous, not critical for the white pieces. So it only makes sense that in the reverse Benoni it's the same, right? Like against the fianchetto, we do like to go for the c4 Benoni type of thing. So after d5, e3, knight c6, something like takes is very common. For example, if we go like, let's say e6 here, let's say we go d3 as well, this should not be good, I think, because now it's really hard to undermine and our bishop is just closed in here. So this should not be good. But since we're in time to do that, because of course e5 just drops the pawn, now it's good. So yeah, let's see what the opponent does here. Already down 2 minutes, so I like our chances. Bro, what? What is this guy in chat saying, man? What is that? So yeah. Let's see what the opponent does here. I personally generally go for d4 in these type of structures. But this what Ray Robson does is also very interesting, and that is what he goes for in the end. After quite a long thing. And knight c6. So yeah, this is what Ray Robson usually plays. Okay, thank you, Alan. Welcome in. Okay, so we get a pretty standard position here. Um, our bishop is quite strong on this diagonal. The pawn supports the diagonal as well, which is quite nice. Probably some knight c3. And what I tend to do is go for knight d2 as well to open up the bishop and then put a knight on e4. But I have never like learned these structures properly because I don't usually play this from either side. So yeah, let's see. Maybe bishop g4, bishop g4. The opponent used to go bishop g4 quite a lot in his games, from what I saw. Maybe knight bd2, supporting the knight and keeping the bishop open. Seems quite good. b6 should not be good because of the diagonal becoming weak. Maybe queen c7, queen c2, rook d8, or b6. No, rook d8, rook d8, a6. I mean, there's many ideas. Maybe try to go for some e5, e4. Okay, eventually the opponent goes for bishop to e6, which is a little strange. And knight g4 is a move, but I guess he goes for bishop f5, luring out e4 and then dropping back. We could also just go knight bd2 or knight c3. Maybe knight a3 is also a move. Okay, he does go for the more natural knight bd2. Maybe trying to go to e4 at some point, like knight g4, knight e4. Also, maybe going to b3, but yeah, no. But yeah, I think that Kostya should be happy with this. Kostya with the superior understanding of the structure for sure. So yeah, I the opponent is looking at bishop to h3 to trade off our light square bishop. So I would be looking at knight g5, both attacking the bishop and guarding the square. And then after bishop f5, maybe knight e4, but that might get a little bit drawish. Like takes, 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 takes. Maybe we're trading too much there if you want to go for the win. So Kostya goes for rook e1, so after bishop h3, there's bishop to h1, keeping the pieces on. That's a good practical choice. The opponent goes for rook d8, just putting the rook on the semi-open file here. And he's just asking Kostya to make a move. Bishop takes c7, knight takes f2 is possible, by the way. Knight takes f2. That's nasty intermezzo. Takes, takes. What if we go e4, bishop e6? Yeah, this looks quite good for black actually. Knight takes f2, yeah. Back to the game. Okay, Kostya goes for knight b3, and the opponent grabs the pawn. This is interesting. Is Kostya planning to take on c5? Is this his idea? Yeah, he does take on c5, so now the bishop is not hanging. Um, what else? I mean, the opponent has 2-on-1, but I don't think that that's a big deal here. Our bishops are very good on the long diagonals, so I think we should be quite happy here. Maybe queen c2 or queen a4 is waiting to be played. Though queen a4, b5, queen a5 doesn't work. a4, b4, queen a3. I'm not sure. Go bam DC. Queen c2 I like. Yeah, the problem with queen c2 I thought was knight b4. Then you got this guy. Yeah, okay. Queen c2 maybe. Okay, opponent doesn't let us with b6 hitting the knight, so we have to move the knight. Actually, we could go bishop c2, but then I think there might be bishop takes d3. Knight takes though. Yeah, this might actually work. Okay, queen to c2. Knight anywhere we take, like this. Knight e5. Knight g5. Idea is, of course, to fork this guy with checkmate. Well, not checkmate, but with the pawn. Maybe knight to e. I'm not sure. Knight g5 probably to keep this guy open, yeah? And now he's gonna have to choose between the pawn and the rook. Should be winning there. Okay, Kostya does go for the queen c2 idea. If he drops the bishop back somewhere, like here, there might already be e4. If he puts it back on e6, takes, and knight g5, hitting this and this. Queen f5, takes. There might be rook here. Knight back, trying to go knight b4. It's getting very shaky. Okay, what did the opponent do? Opponent went bishop to d5. Yeah, I was considering e4 here. e4, bishop e6 takes. Ah, now the diagonal is close is the idea. Interesting. That is interesting. That's a smart idea by the opponent. So maybe we can go for e5. Knight moves. Takes. Knight here. Queen f5. Takes. No, we can. Yeah, we should be winning there. We should be winning there. Derp. Yes. Okay, so Kostya instead goes knight back to b3. So let's quickly sneak peek with the engine. e4 was not great because of bishop takes a2. And after we take back, knight to b4, which works us. I did not really consider bishop takes a2, I have to admit. So let's turn the engine back off. Knight to b3, knight to e5. Opponent is trying to trade off these pieces, like takes. And can we go knight takes f2 is the real... Oh wait, queen is hanging. So takes, rook takes, knight takes. The knight takes f2 should be quite strong at the end there. Okay, so let's see what is happening in the game. Queen takes, oh, knight takes c3 intermezzo with check. And now we don't have this idea with knight takes f2. Bishop a2 is wild, yes. No, Dirk comment is fine. I don't have a... Oh, Dirk comment, yeah, I don't have a Dirk comment. So yeah, knight takes c3 intermezzo is a good move by black, which stops us from going for this knight takes f2 idea. Let's see here. I mean, this is turning into some drawish stuff. Like takes, rook c1, rook goes back. Like h3, g4, g5 maybe, but I mean, the trade of dark square bishops would make it more drawish. So I guess maybe we could go bishop a3, hit the pawn, king f8. Yeah, there's not much, yeah. Right here, there's rook takes. How was knight takes f7 not hanging? Okay, so coach is gonna have to think of the best way to keep winning chances. And he does that by trading everything. Okay. On e5, it's not hanging. Okay, I got something. I'm not sure what you mean here. Maybe e6 there. I'm not. Like, you have to move this guy. Like, maybe this is what you mean? I'm not sure. I showed many lines. But okay, let's go back to the game. Double the rooks here. So the knight is kind of pinned unless you go back to defend the rook. So like knight to d5 here, for example. I mean, this should be just a drawn knight endgame. Like, this should not excite anyone. Especially not if you're trying to go for the win. Okay, opponent goes for a5. So he's not per se begging for the draw with knight to d5. Okay, probably he's gonna play a4 now. A4, knight d4. Maybe then knight d5. Takes, takes, takes. Knight b5. We could go here, threaten this so the knight cannot move. Here it is fourth. This should be not so great. Because he does have the outside pawn majority, which is not great. Okay, knight b well, not knight b just knight d2. Maybe trying to reroute the knight to e4 or c4. If we get the knight to c4, maybe there are some chances. But okay. Like here already, there's not much because you have to go to knight a3 or knight to e3 and just you're gonna have to do this. After which we're not any better whatsoever. Okay, opponent goes for b5, trying to restrict the knight from going to c4. Maybe we have knight to e4 now. Knight to e4 forces knight to d5 because if you take, I take here. Knight d5 because knight c5 is neither possible anymore. Takes, 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 takes. There's not much, eh? There's not really a way to go after a pawn there. And if we take and go here, there's just rook c2. I think, actually, maybe not. I mean, it should still be a draw, but... Okay, Kostya is thinking here. Knight to e4, I think forces knight to d5. Or actually b4. Opponent can play for b4. a3. Maybe f5. No, that doesn't quite work, eh? You cannot go f5 there, because I'm threatening this and... Well, actually, f5 here, you can go here to stop this. But okay, takes, you're forced to go here. Like, there has to be some tactics. Like maybe here, looking at some ideas, like, in the future. Okay, reducing knight e4, knight to d5, which is, of course, we see the trade of rooks. And now Kostya is gonna have to try to win this knight endgame, which is very hard. I was just saying knight takes f3 looked like the only move for black to not be down. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I just forgot that the intermezzo existed there with knight takes f3. Okay, this is a tough endgame to try to push. You could already go knight to c3. You could also push. But okay, if anyone can win this, it's Kostya. Okay. International. I did get a new one as Skia. Hello, Lauder. Which color does Kostya have? As you can see on the left here, He has the white pieces. You can see it from the clock. We are currently in a pretty drawish 9-10 game where our coach is gonna have to try to push for the win against this 2100, but so that no one is, getting any wrong ideas, this 2100 is extremely underrated. He has drawn a 2560 GM. He lost to Boris Gelfand, who Kostya also lost to, and then he beat another Grandmaster after that. So he played three Grandmasters, like very strong Grandmasters, and got 1.5 out of 3 as a 2100. That is impressive. Okay, so Kostya meanwhile has these two pawns versus these two. I mean, I am terrible at night end games, I can tell you guys that much. So I have no clue what's happening here. Perhaps Plotter can let us know what's happening. I can't see anything without my glasses, especially with my brain not working. No, that's... Well, Kostya has the white pieces here. So he has these pawns against these two, and he's gonna have to try to make it work. Kostya, meanwhile, beat a 2000, drew Ray Robson, and lost to Boris Gelfand, and he is now playing this extremely underrated 2100. Okay, Kostya went for a4. So b4 was not possible because of knight to b3, I assume. Knight b3, knight c3. Takes. Ah, you get this fork at the end. Very nice from Kostya. Good calculation. So the opponent had to go back. But now we have this, like, if we can get this pawn, we should have very good chances. But can we get that pawn? Well, here we get the fork. So here, maybe we do, maybe we don't actually. Because the opponent should be able to get this. Yeah, this should not be it. So maybe the opponent can go king d6, king d6, king c4, king a3, king b3, knight goes back, hits this guy. So we might have to repeat there. Yeah, not what we want here. Okay, the opponent went for knight to a7, which is a very weird move. I would have just gone knight to d6. Sorry, king to d6. That is true, but he's also 2100 FIDE Classical. So very impressive from the young guy. Or I guess he's young. I assume he's young because he's so underrated. Let me just quickly check. Oh yeah, 2004. That was this guy. So he's 1 year older than me, but still extremely impressive. Yeah. Okay, now Kostya's gonna win this pawn because you cannot. Can I draw an arrow? You cannot push, of course, because the knight hangs. This is also guarded, so there's no king d6 to pick up this guy. So let's say the opponent does a nothing move and comes here. We can check him away. And I mean, this, I feel like Kostya should win. We do get the pawn, but now he's gonna play knight f1. Perhaps to go after this pawn. Check here. Here takes, check. King goes back, up. Knight here. Here takes, check, here promote. Okay. So if he goes after the pawns, we should win by force. So he should come back like knight to f5. But okay, after knight to b7, we should still be winning here. Like the king has to make a move. We push maybe. Maybe we actually don't yet. If we push. Actually, we could maybe Zugzwang in. No, we should not weaken this guy. Maybe we just wait like this until he has used all of his pawns. Okay, what happened? Okay, opponent went for knight g4 instead and brought the knight back to f6. So we could go for check. We do go for check. King comes up, which is an interesting choice. Knight back. Also interesting choice. Okay, he's gonna try to sacrifice the knight and grab the pawns. That is his idea here. Sack the knight, grab the pawns. So check here. Push, takes, here. Knight here, here. Here, takes. And we cannot hold on to the pawn. So what if we do this? King here, takes. Knight to e2. But maybe, actually, we can take here. This is winning. So maybe he would have to go here, but then this, takes here, and we take again. Yeah, I think that wins. Okay, this is interesting. Knight to d7. I would have gone for this with king to e7 probably. A sneak peek with the engine. It is completely winning for white with king e7. So I did calculate that correctly. Okay, opponent went for h4, trying to undermine the structure and get the pawns, and he sacked the knight. So is this a better or a worse version is the real question. I think we should go knight to d3, but then now there's g5. Yeah, I think this is maybe a worse version. This might be a worse version, but okay, maybe I miscalculated in my version that after this here takes, maybe this was a move. Let's go back to the game. Kostya sacrificed the pawn, the knight for the pawn. Yeah, this is a winning endgame. The king cannot really stay here to hold the pawn because then f5 and he cannot keep the pawn. And if he pushes the pawn, then we just go here and he cannot defend the pawn anymore. And 2-1 nothing is of course completely winning. So yeah, good conversion by Kostya here. He has won this game. Good stuff. I mean, at this point, I was struggling to see how to win this night end game, but of course, as I said, if anyone can do it, it's Kostya. And he proved it once again. So yeah. Oh, oops, wrong one. That's. Do you think Coach is capable of such a game? I mean, if you go back to like round one, Coach is capable of any game, you know? Coach is a demon. Just demon. Okay, and he did win the game here by resignation. What is my summer tournament, you mean, or Oscars? I'm not sure what you mean. Let's congratulate Coach on the win. Okay, let's see what Coach has to say about the game here. Mine is like 11 July to 19 July, I believe. Okay, Coach not very happy, but okay, we take the win. So yeah, let's quickly check with the engine here. What did Kostya do wrong? queen c2 was a mistake. This is actually the move that I really wanted. Queen to c2. Apparently it's wrong. A rook to c1 would have been stronger. Bishop takes a2, queen to a4. Hitting this with discoveries. Takes. We're down a pawn, but it's like Benko compensation, you know? Which is quite decent here. Interesting. Quite interesting. So a4. It's a nothing. a5. So it really just wants to take the space. Okay. We quickly analyze the opening. So we take the win. Um, we're now on what's like 2.5 out of 4. Yeah, I think it's 11 to 19 July Flutter. 90 plus 30 with 30 minutes on move 40, 9 rounds. Nice one, Oscar. Boris Gelfand drew Andy Woodward. Let's quickly look at this. Kostya's last opponent before Isaac. Oh wait, I should tell Kostya. One sec. Okay. The games have more or less all finished. Tushar is still fighting. Tushar completely winning against the CM here. Okay, the GTT board is just behind, I think. Because, of course, they're not playing every move in 1 second. And Tushar won by resignation with mate in 1 on the board. Impressive stuff. So, what just happened? Because there's checkmate in 1 here, there's checkmate in 1 here, there's checkmate in 1 here, and there's checkmate in 1 here. Also, checkmate in 1 here, and checkmate in 1 here. So I guess just GTT hours here, because, I mean, you're not gonna hang the mate in 1 7 times in a row and miss it 7 times in a row by repeating. So, yeah, I think the opponent, also this does, I mean, you're not hanging the queen. I think what happened was rook to g2, rook here, and he resigned because there's no way to stop the mate. Any other tournaments apart from Amsterdam? I am maybe gonna play in the National Open Championship, but I cannot play the top group, so it would be a bit weaker event. And maybe in Felicia, which is also both are nine rounders that I'm also considering. Oh, interesting line. What is this? If it takes, maybe check here and takes. Nope. What is the theory here? Oh, you just have a clean fork. Interesting stuff. This is this is actually the same line that Tushar plays always against the King Sinian, but with the knight still on G1, he goes for this E5 push. Yeah, interesting line from Kaden Trop here, fellow streamer, friend of the dojo, also friend of Daniel Naroditsky. Okay, only game that is still going on is Durs. So Kaden is doing good here. Okay, the clock stopped, but I think Kaden wins this. His pieces are way better coordinated. The king is completely open. Um, yeah, Kaden should win this every day of the week. So let's check if there's pairings and if I have to start doing some work or not. Um, no pairings yet, so that's gonna take a bit longer. Next round in 12 minutes, so I am gonna have to keep my eye open on it. But let's see what you guys are saying. Well, okay then. The night ending, I thought black was a bit better, if anything, because of the potential pass spawn. Definitely double-edged. Yeah, I agree, Plodder. I was not finding a way myself to play for the win there, but I mean, if anyone can do it, it's Kostya, of course, and he did. So let's quickly go with the engine. So yeah, here after e3, Kostya is actually losing. He should have gone for knight to d7, and after king e6, knight to c5. And try to repeat that way, because now he allowed knight c3, a4. Let's say, I don't know, let's say we go here, do some random, or let's say we go here, some random stuff. Takes, king to b7. Okay. So yeah, these two, like, potential pass pawn on the queen side is decisive here in this position after a4, but because the opponent didn't do that, Kostya ended up getting a4 himself, which was very strong. And yeah, here he won the pawn, and eventually his pawn was too far up the board to stop. And the opponent tried his best, but yeah, of course, Kostya wins this. Let's see if there are pairings. Refresh the page. There's pairings, okay. Let's see who we're playing. We're playing Bortnik. Okay. We are playing against Bortnik, guys. Bortnik. Let's prepare against Mr. Bortnik, shall we? That's just a normal name. Nothing too special there. Let's see. Okay, one sec. I have to mute. Okay, I'm back. So that was I was calling with Kostya to prepare against Bordnik for a sec. It's easier to do it over call than over text, of course. Um, I had Kostya win that. Oh, Sam was streaming. Yeah. So yeah, quickly prepared some stuff with Kostya there. So I'm very excited to see it on the board. Against Mr. Bordnik himself, a very strong blitz and rapid player. So yeah, very excited to see this game. So far, for the new viewers, Kostya has beaten a 2000, then drew Ray Robson, lost to Boris Gelfand, beat a 2100 who has like beaten a Grandmaster, drew another Grandmaster, and lost to Boris Gelfand. So extremely strong 2100. And now we're playing against Bortnik, who we all know, of course, best friend from Danya indeed. He has beaten Julian Song, drew a GM, lost to an Indian GM, lost to, sorry, beat a 2200 American FM and now is playing Kostya. So yeah, this is going to be an exciting matchup. Some Alekhine, hopefully. I mean, maybe we prepared something against this beloved Alekhine's defense. Because this is what Bornik likes to play. Oh, sorry. C4. This stuff, like 4 pawns, for example. There's many other lines. D6, knight of 3, for example. So yeah, maybe we're gonna see E4, knight of 6. Maybe. Who knows? Maybe we're gonna see like A4. Who knows? No. We prepped pretty well. I am very happy with what we found. So yeah, let's see how it's gonna work out. Also, welcome into Mr. 1800 Strength and G 1975. Welcome in. Before the game starts, I'm quickly gonna grab some water. So I will be right back. Okay, so this is a pretty important tournament, and um, like it's a very big tournament, a lot of big names, pretty decent prize money. So I'm curious. I think that Bortnik will do real stuff, like real prep. Okay, he doesn't play the King's Indian. He does go for this usual Queen's Indian stuff. Yeah, this is just the main line he does online as well that he plays against his GM. Online, he always goes for this knight to e4. Let's see in his other games with the black pieces. Do we get an e4 yet? No, no e4 yet. He again went for b6, bishop b7. Got into this King's Indian from the b6 move order. And just won the game there. Yeah, we looked at this game. Okay, so no e4 yet against him. Let's see what Coach is gonna play. I have no clue what he's gonna play. No, I'm kidding. I am kidding. But yeah, it doesn't seem like Bornik is trolling. Seems like he's playing his actual repertoire. So we should be getting a good game here. Meanwhile, oh, Levi Rossman is playing against the guy I know, so that's fun. Meanwhile, Robbie is playing against Oparin. That's also quite a good matchup. Fabi is Fabi lost. Fabi is on 2.5 points. That is fun. Maybe we get to play Fabiano. That will be that will be something. That would be something. Okay, the games have not started yet, it seems, which is a little weird. Should be starting. Okay, this one has already started a while ago. This has to be some GTT hour, surely, right? Like, they're already almost done with their game. Yeah, I'm not gonna take that one serious. Okay, it seems like the games are starting now. Let's go back to Kosha if I can find him. Here we go. Okay, Kosha's game. Yeah, there we go. So again, we see knight to f3, knight f6, c4, b6, g3. Okay, seems like we're gonna get the usual stuff here from Bornik with knight to e4. Yeah, double fianchetto, castles, bishop g7, d4. Yeah, there we go. d4, queen c2 from Kostya. Playing against knight to e4. So knight c3, knight e4 we avoid. So, little idea there, little idea. We got it on the board, which is exciting stuff. Double fianchetto, yes. But this is not troll. This is not troll, Eskia. This is actual stuff. Okay. So Bortnik is thinking here. Surprised by queen c2. Um, there is the move bishop to e4. There is the move knight to a6. There's the move e6. I believe d5 is a move. Of course, we have looked at every one of them. So we are very well prepared in this position. For example, after bishop e4, you can just go queen d1, and he's gonna have to go back to b7, and you can just force him to make a worse move. And against d5, you can just take, and go e4, and you got a big white center. And yeah, against e6, I guess we will see in a moment. I guess we will see in a moment. Okay, a lot of moves have been played. The GTT board is tripping. So yeah, let's go back and see what we missed there with the GTT board. Okay, so e6 was played, knight c3, takes, bishop f4. Wait, was bishop f4? Whoa, 1 sec. 1 second, you guys. Okay, bishop f4 was indeed the move. Yeah, yeah. This is all according to preparation. Knight a6, rook c1. Yes, yes. Okay, c5, I believe, is a new move there. Yeah, c5, new move. Okay, Kostya goes for a3, taking control of b4 so that there is no knight to b4 stuff. I feel like we can be quite happy here with this position. Maybe rook f to d1, e3, h4. Like, I think we're quite happy with this position. What do you guys think? Big white center, indeed. What do you guys think of this position for Kostya? Think it's good, bad, you know? Also gotta think about it, it's rapid, very different from classical or Blitz. Okay, I think the GTT board is tripping again because I don't think that Danya takes this long on the move. That should not be a thing. Yeah, and again, the GTT board is catching up now. So what did we see? We saw a3, queen e7, bishop e5, bishop h6, takes, and e3. So this is actually a common team in the Caracan that I used to play a lot, but this time from the white pieces in the English. You basically put all of your pieces on dark squares, give up your dark square bishop for a knight, and then play this position with your phenomenal light squared bishop. This is a very easy way to play for the white pieces generally. What I am looking at though is c takes d4. You cannot take with the pawn, so you're forced to take with the knight. Knight to c5. e5. I guess this guy just falls, so this should not work after like knight takes. So yeah, nothing to be concerned about there. So I guess he's gonna bring the rook somewhere. Maybe put the bishop back. Yeah, okay, he does bring one of the rooks already. Probably the other rook to c8 next. Maybe knight back to b8 and c6, or knight to d7 and e6 is a possibility as well. Kostya, as all of his pieces are on the like optimal squares here. We're up quite a bit on time, it seems. So I think we should be quite happy here with how the game is going. Let me just refresh to see if the board is glitched. Probably is, but we're gonna have to deal with it. But we're up 1.5 minutes, so it's worth it to prep. Yes, indeed. It's always worth it to prep. I feel like we got a good position and more time. Equal chances plotter. I mean, I would take that against Bortnik, you know? I will take equal chances in a position where we know it's a little bit better than them because we looked at it. So yeah, I would be quite happy here. Okay, we do see rook a to c8. The GTT board is not glitching, so maybe we are really up to like 2 minutes here against Bortnik. Lining up the rook on this diagonal where the queen is. So maybe you want to get the queen off of the file. Sorry, the file where the queen is not diagonal. How do we do that? Maybe queen a4. Queen a4, maybe queen to b3 could also be a move. Hmm. We don't have to do it per se. Maybe knight, well, knight to e4 takes, there's maybe knight to c5. Actually, no. After takes, this guy just hangs. Sorry. That's not correct. Okay, we see queen to b1. That is a little passive. I would have preferred to see queen a4. I wonder why we're going queen to b1. Maybe he was worried about queen f5. Um, Queen b1 could also be trying to support some b4 push in the future, like knight c7 b4 maybe. But we do allow c4. Maybe then we go knight to e5 and put pressure on this backwards pawn. Okay, we do see knight e7. So do we go b4 is the big question here? We do. Okay, b4. Now if c4, I really like our position after knight to e5. And if he doesn't go c4, I think he has to go knight to e6. But after knight to e6, takes. Let's say knight takes. Maybe just knight to d4. I quite like this position for white. I think we have slightly better chances here, at least. So yeah, I really like this idea of queen b1 and b4 actually. It took me a second to understand the idea of queen b1. But yeah, b4, very strong move. And this is a very common team in the Panov line I used to play. I'll quickly show you guys. I used to play this in the Caro-Kann. How did it go? Takes, c4, knight f6, knight c3, knight c6, knight f3, bishop e6 here. g6. Let's just make some moves. Let's do this. And knight to e4, for example. And it's the same idea. You put pressure on this backwards pawn. If we go back to the current position, flip the board and look at this and this, you can see the similar idea, right? You can see the similarity. So yeah, this is really nice for white, I think. Okay, so Bornik is thinking we're up like 3 to 4 minutes at this point with a phenomenal position, I think. I really like Kosha's chances here with the preparation. Yeah, this is some beautiful stuff. Maybe he can take. Knight takes. And it's really hard to make moves here. As the black pieces, which we love. We love it to be hard for the black pieces there. Maybe we get knight to e2, just like simple play against the isolated queen spawn. Looks pretty standard, pretty normal, pretty good. Okay, we see c4, but now we get knight to e5, I think, and we put pressure on this backward spawn. And I really like our position here. Maybe we get f4 at some point. That would be something. But maybe then e3 becomes a bit weak after like queen e7, f6. But yeah, I really like this move knight to e5. It's probably not necessary, but it's the move that comes to mind to me from the experience in the Panov. Um, Kostya does go for knight to e5 here, putting pressure on this backward spawn. Okay, quite quickly, Bornik plays knight to e6. I wonder if we can maybe start poking a little bit on the queen side here with the pawns. Okay, we go here. I'm not sure if we want to take this guy. This guy is not amazing. But again, it's also not bad because this guy is on the same color as all of his pawns. So this would be good bishop versus bad bishop. But I think that this bishop is less good than our knight. So it's interesting to go for knight g4. I wonder if he's gonna take here. Okay, he goes for h4. This is some interesting stuff from Kostya. I'm not sure if I love it, but maybe I don't see the idea yet. What do you guys think the idea of knight g4 h4 is? Okay, f5 I love to see. Now we just go straight back to e5, I think. Knight to e5, maybe there's g5 though. No, g5 takes. Surely this doesn't work. Yeah, we can just take here. So I think we just go straight back to e5 and say thank you for pushing the pawn and giving me this outpost. So yeah, knight to e5. Or maybe take. Maybe. But how do we put more pressure on this pawn? It's a real question. Maybe a4, a5. Should either take a4, a5 or knight to e5 and try to hold this outpost. It's quite interesting. Let's see what Kostya does. No, don't take. I like what white is doing here. Yeah, I agree, Plodder. I quite like going back to knight to e5, and Kostya, after a bit of thought, does go for that. Not taking the bishop here, because the bishops are quite bad in this very close position. Okay, queen to e7 plays very quickly. Bornik is really speeding up here to make up for his pretty big deficit on the clock. Okay, so we see f4. This is beautiful. I talked about f4 here, but maybe there was some f6 and e3 becomes weak, but now that there's never f6 anymore, f4 is extremely strong. Bornik, however, a phenomenal blitz and rapid player, immediately trying to target the weakness that was created, going after the weak g3 pawn. Kostya preparing to give up the second bishop here, potentially. And Bornik is gonna reroute the knight into e4 or into b5, but I think his idea is to reroute into e4. Kostya, however, go for h5, trying to undermine the structure in front of the king, but what happens after g5? What is his idea? Maybe he's just gonna go king f2 and try to swing the rook over somewhere, but I'm not sure if I'm the biggest fan of this, allowing g5 and potentially open up the g file, actually. Like, this might give black some play unless white can capitalize on g5 in some way, shape, or form. There are ideas lurking in the air, like tactics, but not yet. Maybe a4, a5, but then the rook swing over as well. Not sure what's gonna happen here, but it is very exciting stuff. I'm not the biggest fan of h5. Not the biggest fan, but also not a hater of it at all. I would have probably just played something like King G2, but okay. It is Kostya, so I'm gonna trust that it's good. I'm just curious what is happening after G5. Because surely we never want to take. Okay, so what happened? Queen to E6 was played. Takes King F2. Okay, but this is a very good version, I think. Because now we're gonna get to use the H file that we just opened up. I think we can just take this knight here with the bishop. Either way that they recapture, I think we're quite happy. So I really like Kostya's chances here in this position. I thought I got a message from Kostya, but that was not the case. He is in fact still playing. Okay, rook h1 played as I predicted. So yeah, after this, I would instantly give up the bishop. In this very close position, of course, the knight pair is way better than the bishop pair. And I really think we're dominating Bortnik in this position. Okay, Bortnik goes bishop to g7, rook g1. I would have been looking at maybe rook h3 or rook h2, but rook g1 also quite good. You're hinting towards some kind of g4 and rook take g4, queen g1, and just really battering the black pieces down the h and g files. Okay, Bortnik takes on e5. Do we take with the f pawn or with the e pawn? If we take with the e pawn, takes. He does get the d file, which can be very painful. If we take with the f pawn, g4, sorry, g5 here. If he does this, I think we're quite happy. Maybe bishop g2 just. So the real problem would be this. Takes, rook f8. No, we can take here. So you cannot play rook f8. He would have to take. But this, I mean, he's getting mated. So yeah, I think that we should take with the f pawn here. And we take with the d pawn. Okay, I don't like this. I think we should have taken with the f pawn. But maybe I missed something. Maybe I miscalculated. Like maybe this. And they get the open line and like queen g4. Yeah, that doesn't look great. Like queen g4, rook f8. Already this is looking a little sketchy to say the least. But okay, he takes, knight here, takes, and the d file opens, so I'm not sure. I'm gonna quickly peek with the engineer. Interesting, interesting, interesting. Interesting stuff. Very interesting. Nice one, SP. Knight e4 is impossible. h6. Bishop is en prise. Hmm. Yeah, good point. Okay, this is played in the game, but now the D file has opened up. I'm not a big fan of this. Maybe we can go knight to e2 and knight to d4, but already I would be tempted to sacrifice the exchange there. Okay, so Kostya is allowing rook to d2 check. This is scary. This is scary. I don't like this. I do not like this. I sure hope that Kostya knows what he is doing. I think he's trying to go for Queen H3. So here, and Queen H3 next was his idea, I assume. Bornik preparing to face Queen H or meet Queen H3 with Rook to H8. Taking back the H file. But okay, now that the rooks are forced to stay on the back rank to meet Queen H3 with Queen H8, the D file being opened is not as big of a problem. I'm still looking at knight E2, C3, knight to D4. Let's say queen goes back. Maybe queen to maybe queen H queen. There's so many good options. Queen E2 maybe. Preparing G4 and stopping C2. I mean, there's way too many good options here. It's all so tempting. But we are only up 1 minute, so I feel like the advantage is slowly slipping away. King E1 is better than knight E2, I think. King E1, eh? King E1, Queen D7, threatening checkmate. I guess your idea is like Rook G2 or something. That's not possible. Maybe A5, B5, Queen E7. I know. I quite like knight E2. Trying to get knight D4. But okay, King E1 shouldn't be too bad. Okay, goes for a lot of moves. Kostya, what did you do? Why is our knight lost? I sure hope Kostya calculated this well, but I'm afraid not. King 2 takes. Probably intermezzo here, maybe. Is he for real gonna try to win this? No way, right? Like, you just put a bishop on this diagonal, walk the king in. I think we might be losing here. Now that our knight is lost. I think we might be losing. Are you the guy who bets on? I am Jerome. I am. After Rook D2, I meant you are looking at lines about 5 minutes too late. What do you mean? I am not Canadian. I am Dutch. Okay. Only up 30 seconds anymore. I think the GTT board is just like freezing again. Or Kostya got like really surprised by this move. But yeah, it's like I don't like King E1. I think just 92. 92 kind of has to be it, no? Going for like Queen H2. Well, Queen H3 is not possible anymore because we play G4. Okay, 92, push, takes, push. This doesn't look great. Maybe takes from or check. Yeah, this looks like we're getting mated. Yeah, I feel like we misplayed it. Maybe here already. Maybe F takes. Oh, we got a lot of moves now. Okay, what happened? How did we not lose the knight? We gave up the rooks there, and we got these two passed pawns now, but our knight is still lost. Maybe we can go for some counterplay with Queen F4, allowing him to take, and then we just start running away. And we're gonna try to go for some like perpetual check. But it's quite hard to get a perpetual check because if we ever go in, this is possible. We cannot really get in here because if push, he just goes here and there's no checks. Maybe push here, we push again. Like let's say they do nothing, check here, and we push. Like something like this, for example. Because if he takes now, this should maybe lead to perpetual, yeah? Okay, we got queen to b3. Okay, we do get this idea. And he's checkmated our queen. And we lost the game. Damn, that's a tough one. I really loved our position at some point. Let's check with the engine what has happened. Okay, I really like this idea with queen to b1 and b4. Yeah, 95 I like. Knight g4 I was not the biggest fan of. The engine likes it, but it also likes my a4 a5 idea, I think. Or a4 b5 idea it really likes actually. Just locking the queen side here and taking some more space. Maybe after b5, like let's say b5, maybe the idea is knight a2, knight b4, and knight to c6. That could be quite strong. And yeah, here of course, do not take the bad bishop. We went back here. F4 was amazing. Yes, this I liked. H5, best move. Okay, takes, king e2. Yeah, here I really would have taken with the f pawn. 94, bishop takes, f takes, king e2, queen here, king d2, rook here, queen to e1. I mean, it looks a little scary, but engine likes it, and I like it a lot more than opening up the d file. Apparently, it's okay. Yeah, queen f1 is a decent move. g5 is apparently a blunder because of takes and rook d2. So what happens after rook d2 immediate? King g7. Let's say I go rook to h4. Check. King to e1 actually. Surprising. And queen h3. You don't have this anymore, yeah? Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. Okay, let's see what Kostya has to say. Unfortunate loss against Bortnik. I feel like we had a very strong opening, and then, yeah, around here we kind of start messing it up. Maybe he's in the chat. No. Oh, hello, Luna. Welcome in. Thank you, Luna. Bye bye. Um, okay. Okay, quickly talked with Kostya about the game. I feel like he played quite well. Opening went quite well as well. But yeah, I personally would have preferred to take with the F1 and go for this line. This seems a little less dangerous. But according to the computer, instead of G4 here, he should have gone for Rook G2, Rook D2, King E1, takes, and for example, go into this endgame where he's gonna try to trade the queens and then play good knight versus bad bishop because all of our pawns are on dark squares. Um, this is apparently plus 2.5. So that's unfortunate that Kosha really tried to go for the KO, but eventually, yeah, just didn't work here with tactics as he's losing his queen on the next move. Like check here, there's no way to get a queen out, and if he doesn't, he's just gonna lose the next move. So yeah, I mean, Bornik is a phenomenal player, so no shame in losing to him, and it was a very good fight. Is this just good knight versus bad bishop? Yeah, it was. Bortnik won. Um, oh, oops, this is wrong board. Bortnik won from Kosha, as you can see here. So yeah, mhm. Kosha, I mean, understandably so, thought that this was king was extremely weak, and he wanted to go after the king instead of go to the end game. But yeah, sadly, that was the wrong decision. I was also trying to go after the king and not looking at the end game, so very understandable mistake there. The Sportnik person seems pretty good. Yeah, he's all right. He's all right. You know, he's the former like top three Blitz player in the world or something. So pretty decent. Let's see if we have pairings. Meanwhile, not yet. But okay, the I feel like the tournament has been pretty decent for Kosha so far. Let's look back. Round one, Beta 2000 in style, like very strong win. Then Drew Ray Robson, lost to Boris Gelfand, unfortunately, beat a very underrated 2100, and then had a very good game against Bornik, but lost in the end. I feel like it's a pretty good tournament so far, but okay, we have some rounds left. We can still finish strong here. Maybe get a Grandmaster win on the board. That would be nice. Yeah, indeed, Plodder. It was very difficult, but um, yeah, I think although it is a worse move objectively, I think this variation is a lot better to play in Rapids because it's just a lot safer. Our king is a lot safer in the center here than it is here on the side of the board with the center open. Okay, let's see if there's pairings now because the round is starting soon. Okay, we do have a pairing. Who are we playing against? If I can find Kosha, that would be nice. Okay, I'll just use the commands. We're playing against Horobets Graham. Let's see. A 2200 untitled player, and he has the white pieces. Uh, okay, it might start to get a little bit laggy now because I'm opening chess base, which is, a pretty big software that struggles a little bit to run. Just gotta check a line. It's gonna be a big question if Kostya is able to look at the prep in time as the round is already starting very quickly here. Okay, you should have some time actually. Let's quickly look at the other games. Okay, I'll quickly put on some game whilst I'm prepping. What do you guys want to see? Andrew Hung against a Wonder. I mean, sounds pretty exciting, even though it ended in a draw. Pretty big names here. Okay. I think we're quite happy with the prep here. So let's see how that will play out. Oh, just have to message someone. Hey, let's see here. Oh, I went away
Super
from the boards. My bad. Okay. Let's see pairings here. Andy Woodward is playing the GM from Azerbaijan, go from 4.5. Sindarov is on 4 out of 5. Okay. So Andy Woodward and the GM from Azerbaijan are playing for first place. At the moment, Boris Gelfand is still going strong, beating Nico Chasing. Arvind versus Ivanchuk is a big matchup. Nikes and Bornik, a big matchup as well. What else do we have? Eric Rosen against the second of Sindaro. Next to that, not huge pairings here. Gory Robert Hess is a good one. But of course, we are focusing on. Where is he? Where is Kostya? Why can I not find the board? Wait, why does it say that Kostya is not on a whiteboard? Excuse me? We are supposed to have a live board every round. What is this? Okay, let me check on the other side if they have it. It will be very unfortunate if we don't. Seems like we do. On board 18. Oh, here we go. There we go. Board 18 indeed. Okay, always good. Thank you for the follow, Willie Bisson. We keep hearing sounds, but we can't see the boards. Interesting. An ace of ice. Was a decent bit ago, that's yeah. Okay. Game should be starting any moment now. I think what you guys were hearing was me analyzing or well prepping for Kosha. Of course, I cannot really show that on stream now, can I? So yeah, you guys probably heard the sounds of the chessboard on there. Let's quickly do this up. Master section. Slide 6. Already after this round is the last round from the tournament. So we are nearing the end here. Um, so our opponent is 2220 FIDE, peak 2270-ish. Um, let's see what his age is. Okay, he's already, he's not a prodigy. He's like 30-ish. So that's good. That is good for us. Good news. Okay. The game should start any moment now. Also, welcome in Q-Corn. The suspense is killing me. I wonder who will make a move first. Yeah. Would that be white or black? I don't know. Maybe Kostya's gonna, play e5 on move one. It's possible. OTB, chess.com won't, not allow you to make the move. But yeah. Um, Mr. Graham is a lifetime 1e4 player. Okay, the boards are starting. Yeah, he does start with 1e4. We're expecting to see c5, knight f3, e6, d4, takes. What we're expecting. Knight f6, knight to c3. And here, just for Mr. Cucon in the chat, we get knight to c6. The four knights Sicilian. Okay, opponent takes. I assume he's going for the main line here. Knight to e4. Queen c7 is the main move, but we are going for bishop to d7. So yeah, this is a slight sideline. The big main line is, of course, queen to c7, f4, and queen to b6, where it gets a little crazy and you walk your king to f3 and all kinds of stuff, but it's so analyzed that everyone knows what they're doing there with the white pieces. Here we see bishop b7, bishop to e2, and c5. Actually, recently, I believe had a chat about this exact variation with Mr. Cucorn, who is in the chat. So that is quite fun. Okay, we see queen c7 now hitting the pawn. And we don't see f4, but we see knight to d6. And yeah, the trick here is, of course, the pawn is hanging, but if you take there c4 and you win the knight because your knight is pinned to the queen, it's a common trap in the four knights here. So we see queen to c6, lining up a battery on g2. Let's see what our opponent is gonna play here. Okay. No, I don't think so. I think the opponent is out of book here, which is quite nice for us. Okay, we see some moves here. We see f3 blocking the diagonal like that. And Kostya very quickly plays e5. Seems to still be prep. I am personally not familiar with the move e5 there. This is some new stuff for me. I have not seen this before. Maybe Mr. Cucorn in chat can tell me if e5 is a common thematic move in the four knight Sicilian for the black pieces. It might be to try to go for some f5 e4 and break apart the structure to go for a checkmating attack on g2, but maybe it's to get knight to f4, castles, and use the e file. Yeah, I'm trying to find the thematic ideas behind this move indeed. Mr. Cucorn is not enlightening us with his ideas here, sadly. Might be at work. Okay. So we see rook to f2 played. This is actually something I know from the Petrov with the white pieces. There's a variation. There's a variation where you go rook f2 and bishop to f1 and then rook to e2. Usually it's paired with like c4, b3, and d3 structure, if I recall correctly. Like this structure, and then rook to f2, bishop to f1, and rook to e2. Um, so I do know this reroute, but I don't know if it's good here. Okay, b3 looks a little awkward. We're giving up the c3 square completely, both that way and okay, this way I guess you would take with the with the c pawn, yeah. But there might be c3 here, and I mean this pawn is quite weak. Like maybe we would get some like knight to b4 to put pressure. We could get some e4 potentially if we get the rook on the e5 and use the rooks. Maybe knight to f4, bishop takes, e takes, and then rook to e8. There's ideas. Kostya, however, goes for bishop a6. This is, I'm gonna have to say, this is quite thematic in the four knights. We go to the main line here with queen to c7, f4, queen to b6. There's a c4, bishop a6 line. I believe it's something. Actually, maybe it's not like this. Wait, is this the line? No, it's not. c4. Wait, where's the line with c4 and bishop a6? There's some line where you got c4 and bishop a6 spinning the pawn in the four knights, but I'm not sure where it is exactly. But okay, let's go back to the game. um, so yeah, bishop a6. The idea is simply to defend the pawn, and maybe in the future we take on b3 and open up this diagonal. Like for example here, now we can do this. So we're stopping the rook from coming to e2. Okay. So yeah, bishop a6, nice move. Oh, and this on, my bad. Nice move here. Opponent already down to 5 minutes, while Scotia still on 10. So yeah, very good preparation here, I must say. I think that Jurgen Bank can be quite happy with how the four knight Sicilian is being played here. Interesting comment, Askia. Okay, the opponent goes for bishop to a3, copying Kosha and defending his pawn because now the pawn would be hanging. Actually, not yet, of course, because there would still be this. And it would still be pinned, but almost Kosha will be able to play this. Like, for example, c3. Now he's threatening to take on d6. So opponent guards the pawn with bishop to a3. A bit unusual, but okay. If it works, it works, you know. So yeah, let's see what Kosha plays here. Very quickly blitzes out knight to e3. Kosha has barely taught this entire game. He's forking the queen and the bishop. So let's say queen to e1. Um, takes, takes, and takes. And he wins the c2 pawn as well, potentially. Though here rook takes, so maybe here not. And he would have to go for something like this, but this is also completely winning, of course. Yeah, this is a very strong move. Now, however he recaptures, there is going to be c takes b3 winning at least a pawn. So yeah, a very strong play by Kostya so far. I see. E5 is not the theory of my friend here. Um, E5 is good in the structure, but usually needs to be prepped. Achieving c4 is really good for black. Usually white plays c4 first to prevent it. C4, bishop b4, king e2, bishop a6, king f3. Noted. Thank you, Cubor, for the insights. So yeah, c4, as pointed out, is a big achievement for black because now this pawn would become quite weak when there is not this tactic anymore to win the knight whenever this pawn drops. Okay, Kostya actually going for c3 instead of c takes b3, winning a pawn, which is quite interesting. And then he, ah, I am okay. I fully missed that he would just win an exchange like that. Okay, so we won an exchange. I feel like our pieces are better. We got a4 here, and I mean this pawn is kind of blockading black, you know. Sorry, blockading white. Like he would maybe like to put the rook on d6, for example, maybe create like a weird connect 4 over here. But yeah, not so easy. I guess he has to go back to. Oh, okay, interesting. Trying to put the bishop on c7. If you go a4, what does he do? Does he just go here and allow this? That would be a little bit strange. Oh, sorry, misclick. I'm just making some moves, you know? See, we would already take there. Okay, we see rook to e6 instead. I looked at this to hit this pawn. But now after bishop c7, what is the idea? I guess maybe still a4 or rook a8, preparing a4, but rook a8, maybe they play a4, so I think a4 should be played here. And yeah, I quite liked a4 here already, but there must have been something wrong with it. Maybe b4, trying to keep it close. But then I was looking at maybe a3, and now this pawn can become very weak, as well as queen a4 might be on the cards soon. But yeah, we should not forget we are up in exchange here. We could maybe sack the exchange back and say we're up a pawn, but I don't think that this is enough yet, as there's going to be rook to d3 and winning the c pawn. Um, which is already threatened now. Rook to c3, rook takes rook to d3, rook takes c3 is already quite a big threat. So I'm interested to see how Kostya is gonna deal with this. And yeah, Kostya for the first time in the game is actually thinking. Um, see, I really wonder what was wrong with a4 here because I don't think b4 is any good. Interesting stuff. Bishop to c7, and now he's thinking. Maybe f5, rook d3, e4, takes. Nah, he would take here and take. Maybe this, just moving out of the way and trying to open up. I guess there would be this move, g4, just g3 perhaps. No, we cannot take here. We do have check. Doesn't do much. Actually, now we would get this. The rook is a little awkward. This is not at all clear for the white pieces, so maybe... Oh, actually, Kostya does go for this. But after rook to d3, he goes for f4 instead of e4, which is interesting. Opponent offers a queen trade. I was looking at e4 here, and after this, go queen to d5 and try to get in like this. Check king f2, rook to g6, and try to get in from behind the king. Looks pretty good to me. I am curious what Kostya is gonna do here. If we trade the queens, we are up. Actually, maybe we could do this. No, we cannot. But we are up in exchange, so we could trade the queens. We do lose a pawn. I feel like white should have compensation here, which is unfortunate. Okay, Kostya does not trade the queens correctly, I think. But now the opponent has created a blockade. Okay, the a2 pawn is gonna fall, except for if the opponent plays this, but okay. Now we actually get some compensation, I think. And let's say we do this. This also works because we can take on d6, and after takes, we take here. So yeah, the pawn is actually not hanging here. And it's very hard to stop this tactic, because that would need the king to guard the rook here. But then you would have to walk the king like all the way around like this or something unrealistic. So yeah, this is actually quite good. Opponent just immediately takes the pawn, but Kostya could take here. Takes. Okay, but check. This is very dangerous. Oh wait, the queen hangs. What am I saying? Takes, there's a stakes, and if we take, there's a stakes. Sorry, I missed the queen hanging. So of course we cannot take on d6 now, but we can take on a2. We can also check on c1. Check on c1, there might be queen e1. Because of this, of course, we get this rook g6 idea again with queen h1, which is very strong, even stronger with the center locked. So that would be great, but yeah, I think queen takes a2, played by Kostya. And now queen to b1 with this rook g6 idea might be very strong. Sorry, queen a4, queen c. He wants f4 and then e4. Yeah, but now the e4 square is blockaded. That is the big problem here. Okay. Yes, queen a4, queen to c1 check, and then rook g6, I guess, is your idea. Although you do drop d7 here, so maybe there's something else. Oh, you can take here, yeah? You just win the rook. Takes, I guess something like this, yeah? Push. Yeah, makes sense. Okay, so we get this, queen to a1 check, king f2. And now I would be looking at rook to g6, trying to get queen to h1 and get behind this pawn. But I think here queen e1 would happen. Check, though. Wins the rook. Okay, Kostya goes for rook to e8. I think rook g6 was quite strong. But maybe there was some problem with rook d6 or rook takes e5. And he's threatening a back rank mate. And this is not fast enough now. Because that would just simply be checkmate, I think. So he first does this, so that after, for example, this, let's say we move, let's say he goes back, rook g6, takes, takes, there's still no queen h1. But maybe then we could go like h6 and then queen h1. After this, we can take here, for example, take this pawn as well. That's winning. We see queen h1 first, before rook to g6. That is a better way of doing it, so that now after rook g6 takes, of course, you can just take here with checkmate. So this is the right move order. Very strong from Kostya here. Opponent plays rook to a8. Kostya takes on h2. Not going for any ideas with rook to g6 because queen a8 is, sorry, rook a8 is quite strong. Like takes, check. This is already a little uncomfortable. Like if you go rook g6, you already checkmated. So yeah, just taking the pawn is quite good. Opponent pinning the rook, trying to be sneaky, and win the game with rook takes e8, where the rook cannot recapture. But of course, Kostya wasn't born today. He will see this. Rook takes g2. Queen d2 here instead of h6. Where did I play h6? I already looked at many lines. Queen d2. Oh yeah, of course. You just get this, yeah? Queen and win the queen. Yeah, correct. Okay, in this position, what do we do? They could do some stuff like this, just defending the rook. I guess the opponent would try to go for something like this. Another way to do it is to unpin the rooks, or yeah, this rook from the defense. But I think again the opponent is gonna try to go for some b4, b5, b6. Okay, Kostya does go for king f8. I'm a bit worried about b4. Just simply trying to promote this pawn. And it's a little hard to see how he's gonna deliver a checkmate if these rooks are kind of stuck. So yeah, I guess we will see that soon. For a moment, I thought about subbing, but then I remembered someone told you're some sort of a Dutch royalty. That would be just a drop in the ocean. Okay. I am not Dutch royalty. Um, Jordan van Voorde says though, he's a Dutch royalty. Okay, what was played? B4 indeed played. Queen to h4 check, king f1. And yeah, the opponent is simply gonna repeat. And if Kostya doesn't repeat, he's just gonna continue pushing this b pawn. So I am a little bit scared of this for Kostya. We do get a suggestion from Mr. Cucorn with e4, with the follow-up of queen to g3 and taking on f3. That seems like a good idea. Kostya is going for something else, trying to get the queen to e3. Opponent trades the rooks and puts the queen on e4, guarding the c2 pawn as well as queen to e3. And if rook to e6, there's queen to a8. Kostya gets a check. If queen e2, then there's queen d4 and rook to e6, I think. Okay, king to g1 played. There is this move now. We can force the queens off, but we cannot stop this pawn from reaching b6. Okay, Kostya goes for queen to d1, king to h2 plates. So what if rook e6 here and here? How do you stop rook to h6? I don't really see a way. Like, this is just mate. Yeah, okay, Kostya does this. I think it's game over. I think the opponent has lost the game now. I wonder why he didn't just go back to king f2. There must be some reason, but I don't see it. My queen was on h2. Yeah, I understand. I understand, Kira. I think the opponent is about to resign here in um, because of this rook h6 mate. Why it felt like they were winning? I mean, they shouldn't be able to win with such an open king. I guess that's why you run to h2, yeah, to try to avoid the infinite checks. But yeah, that's not gonna work. Okay, he sacrifices the queen. I mean, it's an attempt. Can't blame the guy for trying. But I think we can just walk the king to c5 to c6 and win the game. Probably first queen to e2 and then walk the king here. And yeah, we should be able to win. Although there would be like b5 check, and if we take a d7, so maybe actually we put the king on c8. So after b7 takes here, we can just take the rook. Sorry, take the bishop. Okay, this does the same thing, and now we walk the king to c8, and then we start pushing the pawns. Okay, it's yeah. And we get the resignation. Our queen on c6 first should be GG. Yeah, that's what Kostya did. Okay, I feel like it was a good game from Kostya. Let's see how this Fortnite Sicilian went. Okay, we see this line with bishop to b7. This is all theory. f3 is the correct move. And yeah, e5 is one of the lines here, but you punish it with c4. And as Cubon pointed out in the chat, black getting c4 is a pretty big achievement here. And then opponent blundered here with bishop to a3. Kostya punished it swiftly by winning the exchange. And yeah, here I was curious about a3, trying to open up and activate the rooks here, but rook to c8 was a lot stronger. Now a4, which I also looked at. But instead, Kostya went for this idea. And yeah, after... Oh, queen h1 is a mistake. I thought queen h1 was very strong. Grabs the pawn. Doesn't fall for the cheap tricks the opponent had. And yeah, this is just hopeless for the white pieces. And Kostya wins. Great Fortnite's game, I would say. The e5 was definitely too early, but you gotta do something to take the opponent out of prep keeper, You don't always have to play the top end you move, You can switch it up. The Fortnite isn't super critical on the move orders, You can do something a little inaccurate and still get a great game. So yeah, that was a good game by Kostya. I don't think there were any like mistakes on Kostya's part. I feel like it was a very clean game. Meanwhile, there are some other games currently still going on. Ivanchuk is losing against Aravind here because his king is just basically getting mated like this or something. And yeah, the pawn promotes if he goes here. He's actually gonna get mated probably. So yeah. This already is gonna be basically checkmate. So this is resignable for Chucky, unfortunately. Woodward drew Sindarov beats Suiax. I don't know how to pronounce that. More draws. Oh, okay, never mind. Yeah, Bordnik beat Nixons. I wonder the Yang is beating Zachary Tannenbaum. Drew Hong is winning. Levi Rossman. It looks like he flagged. But yeah, he's not winning this against our round one opponent, actually. Okay, that was very loud. What did I just hear? That was extremely loud. I hope you guys didn't have to hear that. Oh, the DGT board just was glitched. So our round one opponent is gonna draw Levy. That is some impressive stuff from him. He actually beat the Grandmaster in round four, as you can see here. So he has had a good tournament after Kostya. We beat him quite viciously in round one. With this bishop takes h4 idea, and then rook takes g2. Okay, let's go back, put on a game. Okay, this game still has a little bit of life in it. Okay. Oh, why is it so dark? Okay, I think we're back. Surely, right? Okay, we're back. Yes. Awesome. Okay, so last round opponents is gonna be announced after this game, I think. Last round of the tournament. I hope we're gonna get like an IM or a GM to finish the tournament. That would be fun. Maybe like Gory, Robert Hess, Caden Trough, Andrew Tang, Fabiano Caruana is on 2.5 points. He is not having a good tournament. How many points is Koshan? Maybe we got Fabi. That would be a very fun way to end the tournament. Let's see. Kosha is on 3.5. So if Fabi wins this, they are on the same amount of points. Fabi lost. Fabi lost the game. Oh, but wait, no, this is 2.5 out of 5. If he won round 6, it's fine. If he won round 6, it's A-okay. We can still get Fabi, maybe. But yeah, he's having a tough time. To be fair, on 2.5, getting a GM is a little crazy. Like he said, I am round one who he beat, I am round two who he beat, Drew Ivanchuk, and then lost to a GM and lost to another GM. Like, give the man a break, you know? Oh, round six, he also played a GM and lost. It seemed. No, that's also round five. Either he withdrew or he was not on the live board. That's crazy. Okay, I think he was not on the live board. He did play against an FM. Surely he won that and plays Kostya next. Then I'm gonna have to prepare against none other than Fabiano Caruana. And I had a little fun with some of my friends. I was saying, I have some novelties up my sleeve that Fabiano has never heard of. So perhaps I am gonna get to show those friends that, you know, Fabi is not that big of a prep demon. Perhaps, perhaps. And one of those friends is in the chat right now. Hello, Cabbage. Welcome in. Yeah, Fabi has had a rough tournament so far. Pairings for round 7? Nope, not yet. Andy Woodward is having a very good tournament. Sandarov, quite a good tournament. Gelfand, quite a good tournament. Sevian, quite a good tournament. I wonder, started off that Cabbage. I feel like quite some streamers have had a relatively rough tournament so far. Okay, let's hope that we get Fabiano, Caruana, Rage. Nice one, Cabbage. Okay. I'll put on another game whilst I wait for the pairings here. What was a fun game from this last round? Maybe how Sintarov won could be fun to watch. He always wins in style. Flip the board. Whilst we continue to wait for pairings. How long does it take until we get the next round? 12 minutes, so we should get pairings any moment. Okay, no pairing shots. Let's see how this game went. Okay, he got a very good position. There's very active pieces here. Gonna rewrite the bishop to c6. Using the pawn to take more space. Opening up his bishop. And tactics. If he moves the queen somewhere, let's say here, just mate. And there's no way to save both the queen and checkmate. Yeah, relentless pressure. Like, if you have active pieces, white is not gonna be able to defend themselves, especially in low time. And the opponent was already on seconds the whole time. So yeah, nice win from Sindarov there. Let's see how Oparin did. We haven't looked at any of his game shots. A guy that I have beaten before in tournament chess. Online tournament chess, but still tournament chess. Fancy moves. Oh, sorry. When I go to prep, you guys cannot see the moves being played. That's my bad. Oh, wait. Whoa, whoa, whoa. One sec, one sec. Not out yet. Okay. Also, oh wait, we got pairings. We got pairings. Beautiful. Why is it not loading? Let me see what we're playing. Let me see that Fabiano Caruana next to Kostya's name. We got Fabi. We got Fabi. We actually got Fabi. Okay. We actually got Fabi. Okay, I'll mute for a second, guys, so I can help prep. This is hilarious. Okay, we finished the prep. We only had a little bit of time and we didn't quite refute his pet line. So it's gonna be a bit up to Kostya to do it over the board. We found some ideas, like two ideas, but both not exactly what we were looking for. So yeah, I think that Kostya's gonna have to work his magic here. There's not much that I can do anymore than root for him. So not ideal, but okay, also not the end of the world. But okay, we got Kostya versus Fabiano Caruana. Okay. Game should start soon because he said he had to run, so should start any moment here. Where are we? This is gonna be very fun. Kostya versus Fabiano Caruana, like number three in the world. Okay, I cannot find Kostya's boards. Kostya. Okay, it's not showing up. It should be somewhere here, right? Like around board 18. Why can I not find it? So weird. Don't see him for some reason. Well, I guess we're gonna have to wait until the game start to get the boards. But we are for sure getting the boards. There's no chance we're not. Here we go. We finally got the boards. This is beautiful. Let me turn off the engine, and we're gonna witness absolute cinema here. This is gonna be something. So both Kosha and Fabi have been playing one knight f3 this entire tournament, basically. So let's see if Kosha is gonna play it as well. Are we gonna see one knight f3 or something else? Also important to note that Fabi has only faced e4 so far this tournament, and he has only played Sicilian. And he has not been scoring very well with it. Okay. Um, Fabi and Kosha have already played in the past. Um, from what I know, let me just quickly check how many times. They have played twice in the past. One time 7 years ago and one time 3 years ago. 7 years ago, it was a rapid game, OTB, and 3 years ago, it was an OTB Blitz game. No, sorry, Title Tuesday, it seems. Okay. and both times Fabi won. So we're gonna try to get our first win against Fabi. Yeah, I'm excited. Hello, franchise. Okay, still waiting for the games to start. I guess we have delay because Kostya said he had to run like quite a bit ago. Yeah, the game should already have been started. Let me just refresh the page here. We should already have some moves. Yes, and Darov's game has already started. But we and Dina, oh, Dina's playing against Tushar. That's a matchup as well. Tushar has been playing only title players. That's fun, very fun. And Dina has been having a relatively hard tournament. Danny Ranch playing at 2100. Also having a relatively rough tournament. Yeah. Okay, Kosh's game has started with one d4. We're expecting one knight to f6. Now c4. Sadly, Kosha could not be convinced to play knight c3. If he would, then of course he would instantly win the game by resignation. But we do see c4. And now, okay, this is a very small surprise. We just see a standard King's Indian defense. Okay, we do see d6 here, yeah. And now there's many lines. Let's see what Kosha decides to go for. Like bishop e2, bishop e3 is quite popular these days. Bishop e2, knight f3, main line. There's also like h3. There's also f3, h4. Okay, we go into the main line. And we actually avoid what we were expecting here, so this is quite nice. Okay, d5 is a very small side line. Usually first castles, knight c6, and then d5. I actually showed Kosha an idea in castles, knight c6, d5 recently, like a few days ago. Doubt he remembers that idea. Here over the board with all the nuances. And we see h3 after a little bit of thought. And yeah, we get a pretty normal King's Indian. Fun thing to note, Kosha's favorite opening in the world is the King's Indian defense. Okay, we see Queen c2, prophylactically guarding this pawn, because of the knight c5, this pawn will be attacked twice, now it's defended twice, and Kosha can just safely castle if he wants to. Maybe some of you guys are a bit confused about a5. It's a bit of a weird move, but the point is that after knight to c5, there wouldn't be b4 kicking out the knight because of this pawn. Okay, Fabi going for a common idea with knight to h5, preparing f5, which is the common pawn break. And it's a bit of a question, do you first go knight to f4 or do you first go f5? I think here you would first have to go knight to f4, because if you go f5 immediately, takes, you want to take back with the pawn, but now there would probably be knight takes c5 with a discovery on the knight. But okay, let's see what's going to happen here. If Joel is in the stream, this was indeed not the prep. We were not expecting mainline King's Indian. But there was some prep there, but not on the board, sadly. Okay, bishop to e3 played. Ideas with knight to c5, bishop takes c5. Okay, we actually see some moves here. So first knight to f4 was played, bishop f1, preserving the bishop pair, and then the thematic move of f5. Kostya going g3, kicking out the knight, and now this is getting spicy. So Fabi could take here with tempo on the knight, and when we recapture, there's a discovery on this knight. So for example, knight takes h3 could be played, and when we recapture, this might fall. Maybe there's some compensation like this where we, or maybe like takes knight g4 where we hit the rook and the pawn. And we might get a pawn and like make this pawn weak, make the king weak, and there are some ideas, but I haven't seen g3 in this position before. Yeah, Fabi does take. And now if we recapture, there's discoveries. And I think the idea is knight to g5 afterwards. There's also knight takes d5 though. Takes, knight g5. Rook goes back somewhere. And now we cannot take here yet. Maybe h4, h5 is an idea. Okay, takes. Kostya took back with the knight as expected. And now I'm looking at knight takes d5. And I'm not very sure what to do there. Jubava propaganda. Okay, we do see knight takes d5, e takes d5, rook takes f3 as expected. Kostya, of course, expected this as well, and now he's gonna have to show this idea behind the pawn sacrifice. Now, I have talked a bit with Kostya during the tournament about sacrifices and when to go for them and when not to in rapid. Um, and I'm not sure if this is a good one, but we're gonna see. I'm looking at some type of knight g5, h4, h5. There also might just be some bishop g2 castles and try to create counterplay on the c file and say we got some time out of this rook adventuring. Yeah, it's a question for Kostya to answer here. And he is thinking, which is not a great sign. Not a great sign so far, but okay. Okay, we do see bishop to e2. Rook goes back to f8. But now where's our big compensation? I guess we're gonna have to try to get something on the c file here. Okay, he's stopping knight b4 first. And I guess then we start playing on the c file for some activity. But there is bishop f5 pinning our knight. Preparing maybe some knight to c5 potentially. Rook c1, knight c5, takes. We cannot take because of this. Takes, knight takes, of course, not possible either. Maybe we get queen to c4, but then we cannot go queen d6, of course, actually. Maybe takes, queen to d6, b6, rook here, and just saying, okay, I'm up a pawn and I'm solid. But I think Kostya has pretty good drawing chances there. Okay, we do see bishop f5 played on the board. I'm looking at either castling or rook to c1. Surprised to see Caruana playing the King's Indian, but I guess he wants a fluid, complicated game. We were actually expecting some kind of Sicilian plot. Sorry, some kind of King's Indian plotter. He has been playing King's Indian quite a bit recently, so it's not a surprise for us. We were very much ready for the King's Indian. Okay, h4 played by Kostya, trying to go for this h5. Which we also discussed with the knight g5 idea. So let's see what Fabi is gonna do in response. This looks bad for white. I mean, yeah, we're down a pawn. The compensation is not clear. I'm not loving this for white. Um, I think this g3 was not correct, as it just drops a pawn, but I thought maybe there are some ideas with knight g5 and then h4, h5. But maybe there are some bishop f5 here, and all of a sudden it's not so clear. Okay, b6 played from Fabi. He's not scared of h5. This, I'm not sure about for him. Yeah, Kostya just played h5. Starting to like it a bit more for Kostya. It looks too bad, but certainly difficult to play against anymore. Let alone Caruana. Yeah, indeed. I talked with Kostya about like what kind of sacrifices make it easier to play in like Rabbit and Blitz, and this is not one of those sacrifices. Um, I mean, I don't want to take, but can we afford not to take? I don't know. Take stakes. I'm not loving it. I'm not loving it. I loved h5, but yeah, knight to c5 is a strong response. Kostya does take. Maybe g4 now, actually. G4 takes stakes. Light squares are quite weak. G4 might be a very strong move here. G4? Oh, he does take on g6. I think g4 might have been quite strong, but I'm probably missing something if he doesn't play it. Like this, maybe. Something like this. Not sure. Okay, takes with the pawn is a little interesting. I was looking at this myself, but okay. I'm not gonna judge Fabi's move here. There's still g4. It's kind of similar to before. But yeah, I think we are gonna have to start doing something to not just be down a pawn. Okay, coach is going for the long castle and trying to probably double up on the h file and create something. But there is just king f7. There's not much stopping the opponent, Mr. Fabiano, from going to f7 here. f7, king f7, like g4. Oh, he takes. That is surprising, giving up the light squared bishop with all of these weaknesses. Check. And if you move, he forces the queen trade. And if f4 takes, check here. Bishop to d3 takes king b1. Can we like commit some? No, there's queen to e5, forcing the queen trade again. We cannot avoid this queen trade, can we? And if we trade the queens, we're simply gonna be down the pawn. Oh, Fabi doesn't go for the queen trade, instead takes the pawn. But now bishop to d3, rook to b8. Yeah, this looks rough. This looks rough. Rook to b8 or bishop c2. Let me just take. Then rook here maybe, or rook here. We do get counterplay on the g file, so probably doesn't take on g3. Okay, rook f1 plays. What is the idea after rook f8? I guess maybe he's gonna try to go into an opposite color bishop's endgame with the queen's on and try to play for a draw. We're down a bit many pawns and the weak g pawn to do that, but I mean, maybe. There's also queen f5 still to force it. Well, without queens, it's more likely to draw, yeah? I think we will be happy to get all of the major pieces off and just be left with the bishops and the pawns. Then we can probably play like g4, bring the king, and just sit. We would probably have to play a4 first, actually. Okay. G4, bishop takes c4, queen takes c4, rook f4 probably. Do you think it looks too bad now, Clauder? Or no? Do you still have faith? Takes, here, queen back. Also, no, queen f5 should not be played. Hmm. Okay, we do see rook to d1, avoiding the queen trade, and sorry, avoiding the rook trades, and now queen to f5. Okay, I think the only chance we had was to take the rooks off and try to survive that endgame. This is looking rough. Forces the queen trade. We're down 2 pawns. This looks over, sadly. Yes. I wonder where Kostya exactly went wrong. Like G3 is a bit dubious, but I don't think it should be losing. Yeah, I'm not sure. Because here we're already like begging for a draw. Kostya thinking for a while, trying to think of some idea to keep the game going here. I think I was bitten by a mosquito. That's very annoying. But oh well. Kostya's still thinking here on queen f5. I doubt he missed that there was a queen trade, but that Fabio could force. But yeah, maybe there's some tactics that I'm not seeing. Perhaps this is what he's worried about or something. But if you go here first, I guess Fabio could just play this, yeah? Hmm. This is a tough position here. Cabbage, you're a funny guy. Funny guy. Okay, we see rook to d2, protecting the bishop. e4. Okay, rook to c2. Unpinning the rook, I guess. I guess Fabi still has to, convert it, but I have faith that he will here. I guess rook to h3 can be tried. Okay, g4 played, but I'm afraid there's f4 and f3. Taking should also be good, but I think f4 is clean. But yeah, it's tough to defend this last endgame against Fabi. Is this Memorial tournament today because this is the date he fulfilled his final requirements for his GM title? Yeah, that was the 15th of July, so we can take out the secret defensive place. I'm not sure if there's a significance of the date per se. Um, okay, well, there's also being funny. Okay, we do see f takes g4, which is interesting. I was looking at f4 myself. Though is indeed an understatement. Overall, a net gain in rapid rating. Yep, that is true. That is true. We are currently on plus point 0.3. Wait, do we lose more or less than point 0.3 against Fabi? On K10, we might be losing a little bit of rating, but that's okay. Oh wait, no, oh no, never mind, that is Kostya. We have had some tough players, man. We drew Ray Robson, lost to Galfand, lost to Bordnik, and now Fabi. Like, they really sent the demons to Kostya. Who either way, hope Kramnik is not allowed to. Of course he's not. Oh shit. Oh, what is Fabi doing? How did we just manage to do this? Wait, is Kostya cooking? Is Kostya cooking? Rook to G1, Rook takes B2. That doesn't sound very cooking. Sounds like good technique from Fabi. But the Rook here. Here. Okay, he's trying it. I think he has to play A4. A4, C4. King C2. Okay, this also works, yeah. Discarding the pawn. Rook G2, Rook B4, Bishop C2. Okay, he's just gonna bring the king slowly. That is painful. That is a bit of a painful move. The saying that Kostya does not have a move here. Okay, seems like Kostya's flagged, and I think he resigned actually. Tough game against the number 3 player in the world, so. Okay, Queen C2 was already slightly inaccurate. And yeah, G3 was just a mistake. Okay, knight takes D5. I thought it was the best move, but apparently C6 is the move here. That I was not thinking of. I was only looking at discoveries here. So knight takes D5, e takes D5, and we have some compensation here with bishop to G2. We have on bishop E2, A4, H4. Yeah, here I was looking at G4. Takes, knight C5, queen C2. Say like here, H5, and it just doesn't work. Okay. Do we have any chances anywhere else in the game? At this point, we're already that lost. I think the only last hope was to do this on rook f1. Queen f5. Takes. try to do this, but yeah, not possible. Okay, let's see if Kostya's here. True. One sec. Okay, yeah. Um, thank you for the subs, Pearl and Drew Hart. I mean, I feel like it was quite a good tournament here for Kostya. It's also only the first day of the tournament. This was the rapid section. Let's go back to how Kostya did. If you can find the games. Yeah. So we beat Baliga in this game with this bishop's attack that started after bishop takes h4, and then rook takes g2, leading to mate. Against Ray Robson, we ended up getting the draw here from this pretty solid opening, but then taking on b7 was a bit risky, but we survived. Then we played the Boris Gelfand, um, which I did not stream, and of course you went for this f3 idea, which was not great, and eventually lost due to it. Um, After that, this very underrated Isaac Spence, um, who had Kosha a little bit on the ropes in the night game, but then Kosha outplayed him later by getting a spar very far advanced on the board. And the opponent tried to sacrifice the knight for it, but it was already too late, and he resigned. Then against Bortnik, we got the preparation. We got quite a good position here with this outpost. But sadly, g4 was a blunder. This was not how we were supposed to play it. We should have tried to go into the endgame. and play good knight versus bad bishop. And eventually we lost this because our queen kind of got checkmated. Then against Graham, we got this bishop e7 4 knights. Managed to get c4, which was a bit accomplishment. Managed to win an exchange with this tactic with c3. And pretty cleanly converted, I would say. And then against Fabi, we saw what happened just now. Okay, I have to go, but thank you all for watching. So yeah, I doubt I can rate this. Wait, Fabi, wait. Kostya said something. Thought it was okay to select the pawn there. Feels like I've seen that idea before. Sadly, that was not the right idea. But yeah, I have to go. Thank you all for watching.